Hello everyone and welcome back to more Seduce Me to the Demon War. We are back again, oh my god, for the last time in romancing characters in the game, because in the last episode we finished off the last of the brothers, which is Damien, and yeah, we got all his bad endings and all his good endings and all the possibilities that we can see. And yeah, so we ended off, or I ended up getting first the bad ending, in which we failed the ritual, failed the whole human conversion ritual for Damien the first time around, and then in the end, after correcting it, I went back and then got the good ending where he becomes a full human. We go back home and we live out the rest of our lives as a happy human couple, kind of thing. So yeah. And so yeah, that's that. And then now we are finally in this episode, we are starting off Diana's route, which is gonna be a whole new adventure for us because hers is the only route that wasn't included in the demo. So there's no skipping out on the beginning portions of it. We're gonna go straight through it, but regardless of that, if there's any repeats from like any of the other guys' routes, so maybe some stuff in the Abyssal Plains where we first dropped in or anything like that, then yeah, I might like fast forward and skip some parts. But other than that, I feel like for the most part it's gonna just be, again, everything's gonna be brand new. So I don't know what's gonna happen, we don't know what's gonna happen, so I'm so excited. So yeah, so without further ado, let's go.
Hold on.
Oh yes,
there.
yes.
Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
Just for the sake of it, I will let Kay talk to you guys about this, and yeah, so I'm not gonna skip through what she's gonna say.
First of all, have you read the first story?
Oh well, maybe I'll
Seduce
skip this. Yes, next question. So here it is.
You do know this is Diana's route, right? The succubus princess that tried to bring the boys back to the demon world?
Well, don't make her sound like she's the villain. Well, she was, but like in the end, we knew her backstory now. She's cool. She's homegirl. So yes, we do know it is. Yes.
Oh, awesome. All right then. Diana's a very interesting character, huh?
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, I have one last question.
I guess I'm gonna skip this shit.
Some people.
Okay, here we go. So we start off Diana's route, and we're here in our home, and we're out here. What the fuck? Okay, anyways, really weird. Anyways, we're gonna say we're Hannah. Okay, cool. So I was in love with a succubus. It was true. I had fallen for the charms of a succubus, and I was about to dive headfirst into the demon world with her to save her kingdom. Whoa! What the fuck? What the fuck? Wait, hold on. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Wait, what? Huh?
Do you have any regrets?
What did this pick up after? Wait, okay, hold on. Oh, okay, I remember. Oh my god, so funny, because like Kay just fully asked us, like, have you played the first game of Seduce Me yet? And I'm like, yeah, we have, and like, of course we have, but like, I totally forgot what Diana's ending was for that first game. Okay, so I just remembered, because for those of you who may have forgotten, like me, because it's been a while, is that yeah, so when we did Diana's route and we completed it and we ended up falling in love with her, she ends up asking us if we wanted to go back to the Abyssal Plains with her, because she has to go, because yeah, regardless, with she doesn't have any more business or interest in getting the boys back, so she ends up leaving, and because we do her route, we're like, I want to go with you, kind of thing. And then yeah, that's why she has the duty to go back to her home to try to save her kingdom. So yeah, this is where we are. I forgot. No, I don't have any regrets. I'm all for it. None whatsoever. I smiled as Diana held me in her arms and carried us both through the night sky. We had shared a sweet kiss, and the first of hopefully many in the future, and we're about to cast a spell to enter the demon world. Right. Let's do this. Diana looked to the ground that was far below us and pointed her free hand down towards it, closing her eyes. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go. As the last word left her mouth, a large purple pentagram appeared in the grass before twisting and becoming a black void. I gripped onto Diana, scared at what I was seeing.
Last chance.
No, I'm good. No, I ain't bitching out. No, let's do this. I gulped at the sight, not sure what to make of this. Was this really what I wanted to do? My curiosity, however, guided guided my decision and forced me to take a deep breath. I closed my eyes and let calm wash over me before looking up at Diana. Let's do this. Let's go. Yeah, let go. Diana smiled and wrapped both arms around me, laying a protective hand over my head.
Hang on.
Okay. I'm holding on. I tightened my grip on Diana, obeying her command. As I held tight, I felt air quickly begin to rush past our bodies as Diana tilted back and began to let us fall towards the ground. There we go! Was she insane? Well, we got a portal underneath us, girl, so we all good. We Gucci. I looked at Diana, seeing her smirk at me before closing her eyes. I did the same, naturally preparing for an impact with the ground. You're so dumb, girl. After dealing with magic and everything, you would think she would see a portal when there's one in front of her. What I felt was a cool rush of energy brushing over my skin, as if I had fallen into water. I slowly opened my eyes and found myself staring into a vast dark space, holding onto a woman who was no longer wearing clothes. Ha, awkward. Ha, awkward. I was clinging to a woman who had no clothing, but instead had purple marks across her skin and horns adorning her head. However, I could tell that this woman was still Diana just by looking into her eyes. Diana smiled at me and kissed my forehead before tightening her hold on me and muttering softly.
Ad Lilith Castra.
Yeah, to Lilith Castle! I understand that much. I held onto her body as I felt us begin to move through the space as if a giant fan had pushed us forward. Onward we continued through the darkness, with me unsure of where we were going and Diana guiding the way. We began to slow, and soon a small light appeared, slowly growing as we got closer to it. I had to shut my eyes as it began to consume us. Oh my god, I totally forgot about Saero and how he's gonna react to this. Oh my god, he's gonna hate us so much. I felt weightless. I couldn't feel anything except the woman in my arms, and it felt somehow exquisite. I wanted to drown in this feeling and become lost in it. However, our journey through the light was coming to an end. The light around us faded away, and soon I found myself lying on Diana as she lay on the stone floor. Whoa! Okay, the air, however, smelled of fire and blood. Oh, we're right in the middle when it just happened. Oh my gosh, this is gonna suck. This is totally gonna suck. I looked up, seeing fire everywhere in sight. What the hell? This is the demon world? Well, not really.
It's Saero!
Oh, hey, Saero! Oh. A loud shout forced me to look over and see a man running at me with a spear and a rage-filled expression. I screamed and rolled off of Diana, scooting away to avoid being skewered. As he continued towards me, I screamed. Oh, this is so awkward.
No!
No, I'm her girl right now, so yeah, sorry I took your position. Huh. I looked up to see Diana kneeling in front of me and gripping the man's spear, pointing it away from her. The man stared wide-eyed at Diana as she glared back.
My lady, you live?
Yes, she's alive. Oh, God.
Of course I do. I told you I would return, and thus I have.
Yes. The man gave a small sigh of relief, lowering his weapon and propping it up to lean against it. As I examined him now that he wasn't gunning for me, he was wounded and exhausted, panting heavily and gripping his spear tightly. Man, you must have had a rough time.
I'm so glad.
God damn. What a time for us to drop in. As he finally toppled over, Diana gasped and rushed over, kneeling beside him. Oh my gosh.
Saero!
Oh dear. I rushed over as well, wanting to see what was going on. Who was he? Why did he attack me? Why was the room on fire? I don't know, so many questions.
Saero, what happened?
Demon Lord, that's what happened.
We were attacked by the Demon Lord. He took advantage of your absence.
Yep. Total dick move. I began to cough violently. We needed to get out of this room wherever we were. Diana, we need to get out of here. Right, this is not doing us good. Oh man. Diana nodded and grabbed my hand, and Saero was chanting on her breath. The room around us began to shift as if it were changing instead of us moving. Soon we were outside a castle, staring at it as flames erupted from each window. Oh man. What was happening? Whoa, the castle's on fire, in case you hadn't noticed. Diana's face was of pure shock, staring at the castle in absolute terror. All the color, besides of the purple marks on her skin, had faded to a pale white in horror.
We drove them back, but the flames are too powerful.
Yeah, we gotta get some water spell on this, or some shit, I don't even know. At that moment, something in Diana's eyes changed, her anger sparked, and she stood quickly walking around us and towards the castle. Uh-oh. Diana, I don't think it's a good idea, but you gotta do it anyways.
Come! I command thee, white winds! Crush these fires beneath your hands!
Wow. Okay. I was thinking water, but okay. This works as well. I stared as the wind in the air quickly began to pick up and a purple glow began to surround Diana's body. It was like a storm and was rushing towards us, but there was no rain or thunder, just wind. Damn. The winds forced back the flames that danced in the windows and smoke began to rise from each one, signaling the death of the fire. The windows continued to be filled with wind and air, most likely to kill the flames deep within the walls. I, however, could only stare at Diana. Her body was rigid and her gaze was intently focused on the stone castle. Okay. Soon the winds began to die out, and all that was left was smoke rising from the windows into the dark purple and black sky. So she's an airbender. That's nice.
You did it. How?
Through sheer force of anger. I don't know. Diana looked at Saero, intensity still embedded in her eyes.
Where are the king and queen?
Oh no. This isn't gonna end well. I heard Saero's breath hitch and I turned to look at him. He had a look of pure pain and guilt. What had happened? Diana walked over and stared down at him, now almost glaring daggers at him as she clenched her fists at her sides.
Speak, Saero!
The imp demons. While we were fighting the flames and the army, the imp demons snuck through our defenses.
Yeah. My heart, despite not fully understanding the situation, began to tighten. Something was incredibly wrong. Yeah, no shit. Saero shut his eyes as a pair of demons I assumed to be allies rushed over and began chanting and began casting magic over his body, closing his wounds.
They snuck into their room.
Yeah. Diana suddenly turned and bolted towards the castle, causing me to jump up. Diana, I don't think you should see this. Just saying. I began to sprint after her, following her inside the castle and trying to keep up with her. Her panicked breath kept me following her direction despite her fast twists and turns around the ashy corridors.
No.
I could hear Diana sobbing, praying as she ran. I did my best to keep up, not wanting to lose her and not wanting her to be alone right now. We turned into a long hallway that had a pair of golden doors at the end. They were unscathed, as if the flames had not disturbed the door or perhaps the room behind it.
Please be alive. Please!
Uh-oh. Diana bolted for the doors and began to pull them open, grunting at the weight. I stopped running, skidding forward from the abrupt stop. Whomever she wanted alive, I hoped that they were as well. As the doors finally opened, however, the foul stench of blood erupted from behind them, and the scent filling my nostrils. Gah, yeah. Diana flung the doors wide open and could only stare at the sight we both saw. Blood. Blood covered the floor, the walls, the ceiling. How the fuck? The entire room was painted in gore, skin, bone, and massive amounts of blood. Only 3 things, barely coated in red, stood in the middle of the room on the ground. 2 broken crowns and a small tiara that was barely large enough to fit a newborn's head.
No.
Oh man. Diana slowly walked into the room, the blood on the ground painting her bare feet, and she fell to her knees in front of the items, staring down at them. I couldn't bring myself to enter the room with her. Yeah. I watched as she lifted them to her chest, curling her shoulders over herself and shaking almost violently.
Father. Mother. Audibel.
As she continued to grieve over the ornaments in her hands, a dark, almost deadly and evil-looking aura surrounded her body. It began to flicker and grow like a dark flame that wanted to engulf the room she knelt in. As it reached an apex and began to violently flicker through the room around her, Diana arched back and screamed to the ceiling, her voice heavily laced with magic, pain, and rage.
I'll kill you!
Oh my god. Oh, shit. Watching her body burn in the intense black and purple flames like energy made my heart stop in fear. I have never seen her like this, and I was scared as to where her anger would drive her next. Yeah. Stop her, watch in silence. I don't know. I'm a little scared. Like, she needs her moment right now, but like at the same time, it's we should stop it from, getting her to do something irrational. Diana, are you okay? As heartbreaking as this situation was, I couldn't let her anger consume her. Not like this. If she wanted to vent her anger, then it was better to aim it at the ones who wronged her, not let it burn the room where her family died. Right? I stepped into the room, blocking the waves of energy from my face with my arms, and eventually made my way to the screaming Diana. I got you, homegirl. Let me just hug you. Diana! My words couldn't reach her. I stepped closer, almost towering over her, before dropping to my knees, bracing myself and wrapping my arms around Diana. Hugs? Her screaming stopped and her body froze within my arms. Diana quaked like a shivering child in my arms as I pressed my forehead against her hair. Diana, we'll get your revenge, but you must save that rage for the fight, right? Yes, you can kill him all you want, girl. I'm all for it. I was met with silence at my reply. After a moment, Diana finally slumped into my arms while the energy around her died out.
You're right.
Yes. We have important matters to take care of. Diana and I left the room with her unable to turn around and look back. We walked through the ashy corridors of the castle, Diana silenced by the sight and by her own grief. My heart was heavy for her. Still, the demon lord who had done this was still a threat at large, and who knew when he would return, right? Diana led the way to a room which, as expected, was as burnt as could be. However, Diana waved her hand through the air, casting some sort of silent spell. And ta-da! It's all better. It's all nice. Through some sort of prestidigitation, the ash and soot in the room vanished, and the furniture and decor were repaired. We at last stepped in, and with Diana slowly lying down on the bed, unable to carry on any further. Yeah, you need to sleep. You need rest. Looking at Diana's face, her eyes were puffy and red, while her skin almost became void of any color beyond the taint of her demon marks. If she wasn't breathing, one would assume that she was dead. Well, she feels dead on the inside, I'm pretty sure. Diana stared at the ceiling, a world of emotion swimming in her eyes. Despite what had happened, at last she spoke.
I need to send you back.
Why? Where? Oh, right. Guess this isn't exactly a good time to, hang around. What? Now is not the time to think about me, and I knew it. Besides, I came here for a reason. I wasn't going to go back knowing that Diana needed support. I had no regrets in coming here, and I would help her through this, right? No, Diana. No, girl. Homegirl, I just got here. This isn't fair.
It's too dangerous here.
I know, but I can handle myself. That's why we don't train, I don't care, Diana. Diana sat up slowly and looked to me, a form of weak anger in her eyes. However, she knew that it was fruitless to argue with me. After all, she made a deal with me, and I could see the obligation to obey buried behind her anger. Yeah. Diana closed her eyes and lowered her head.
The demon lord will most likely return.
I don't care. Bring it. I'm gonna beat his ass along with you. Yeah? And we'll be ready for him. I gently took Diana's hand and lifted her chin so that she had to look at me. The anger that was plaguing her melted into sadness and broken hope as she stared back into my gaze. There were remnants of rogue tears adorning her face, and seeing her so scarred made me frown. Yeah, I knew that we would get through this. We just needed to rest for now. We would deal with the issues this world brought after, right?
My lady?
Saero interrupting them. Oh my god, this is gonna be so fucking awkward. Diana and I turned our heads to see Saero by the open door, and I stepped away from Diana, giving her space. Behind him, multiple soldiers, servants, and other demons rushed down the hall, most likely to check for other issues and possibly try to fix the damage on the castle. Okay.
Yes, Saero?
Yes, Saero. Oh my god, it's gonna be so awkward. Whatever.
Who is this human?
I'm her girlfriend. For a brief moment, I could see a look of disdain in his eyes as he looked to me. However, it only lasted a second as he looked to Diana, waiting for her to reply to him.
Saero, this is my guest. She came back with me too.
Yeah. Diana looked to me, trying to find the words in my eyes. What was I to her? My curiosity bubbled as I also awaited the completion of her answer. So yeah.
She came to aid me in this war.
Okay. We can deal with this later. Yeah, we got a war to fight.
But what of your fiancé? What of the other sons?
They got their own lives to live,
They are gone. They have disappeared into the human world, and I can no longer trace them. I have failed.
Yeah. The guilt and grief in Diana's voice deepened, most likely reminding herself that she saw the result of failing moments ago, yeah. Saero, however, stepped up to Diana and knelt in front of her, surprising me. What was he doing? He was a guard first off. Why was he being bold enough to step to her?
You didn't fail, my lady. The demon lord attacked us despite giving us his word that he would wait for you to return. He broke his end of the agreement.
True. Yeah, that's true.
I know.
But it's still pretty shitty. Still a pretty shitty situation. Staring at Diana and Saero, I could see that they had a very close and deep connection. Was Saero a friend, or was he something more? I could recognize the emotions within Saero as he looked up at Diana. Well, he looked to be in love with her, or at least had some form of ultimate care for his lady. Saero gently took one of Diana's hands and placed his lips upon it. Instantly, I could almost see energy flow from his body into hers from the kiss alone. Was this how energy transfer worked when you weren't the giver or receiver? Maybe. The color in Diana's skin returned and she let out a sigh with her body relaxing at last. Saero, however, continued to keep his lips over her hand. Something in my gut irked me about him. Oh shit. Oh man, there's gonna be some rivalry going on here. Clear your throat, let him continue. Ahem. Ahem. Not that I was against Diana getting energy, but Saero seemed to be extremely cozy with her, and being that she was someone who I potentially wished to be closer with, this was now an obstacle I had to slowly break Diana away from. Diana and Saero both looked up to me, with Saero lifting his head from Diana's hand. At least it worked. So, where am I staying? Realizing what was going on, Diana looked to Saero and smiled nervously before pulling her hand away from him.
Thank you, Sarah.
Saero, however, stared at me, most likely knowing why I did what I had done. Another flash of disgust flashed in his eyes before he looked to Diana and bowed his head.
I am forever here to serve.
Saero stood a step back, looking to his mistress and to me.
Do we plan to retaliate, my lady?
Duh.
We will. I expect the Demon Lord will come for a second attack, not realizing that I have returned.
What can we do then? Yeah, right? Diana looked to me, a small glimmer of fear in her eyes, but her resolve rekindled and she let a serious visage cover her expression.
I will meet him on the battlefield should he come again.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
My lady, you've just returned.
But girl, we got business to take care of with him, so yes, we're gonna do this.
That I have. But the Demon Lord will not care if he learns of my return. If anything, news of my return will spur him to attack sooner than later. I must be there and stop him.
Yep. Diana looked at Saero with a cold expression, making Saero stand up straight like the guard he was meant to be.
Tell everyone to mend their wounds and prepare for a second invasion tomorrow. I expect the Demon Lord will be ruthless enough to attack in the morning. Let everyone know as well that their princess has returned.
Yep. Okay. Saero nodded and turned to the door to do his job. Before he exited the room, however, Diana called out one last thing to him, which seemed to make him freeze.
And when you are done, please retire to my room. I will rest here for the night with my guest.
Okay. Yeah, bye.
As you wish, my lady.
Sorry, bruh. With that, Saero left and closed the door behind him. The way Saero answered Diana seemed forced, but I could understand why. After all, if he had feelings for her, I became an obstacle for him as I was with her. That didn't stop me, however, from wondering where I stood with Diana. She was going to stay here with me? This was my room? Okay, yeah. Diana let out a sigh and moved in the bed to rest against the back wall of the bed.
Come, we must rest.
Okay, cuddles! I nodded and walked over, lying beside her. However, instead of Diana laying down, she guided my head to rest on her lap. Oh yeah, you don't sleep. Demons don't sleep. You're not going to sleep?
Demons don't sleep, dear. At least not in this world.
Yeah, then we already learned that. Why not? Because they're paranoid as fuck.
Because if we shut our eyes for too long, then we open ourselves up for someone to take advantage of us. Or kill us when we're not aware.
Yep. This sucks. I gulped, now worried and frightened to sleep. Diana chuckled, however, and petted my head. Well, she's not sleeping, so yeah.
You can sleep, however. I will be resting, but my eyes will remain open.
Yeah, okay. That's an odd way, but it will work. Can you truly rest like that?
Demons and humans are different, dear. Demons can function for years without needing to rest, as long as they continually feed on energy. However, demons can rest to stop spending energy. Thus why we have beds.
Okay. Yeah, okay, makes sense. My curiosity began to peck at me again, but my exhaustion took control of my body. As I felt my eyes gradually shut, I could hear Diana whisper.
I hope that you don't mind me taking your energy as you sleep.
No, go for it. I don't care. Yeah, before I let sleep consume me, I shook my head. It was alright. Diana needed as much energy as she could for whatever the demon lord had in mind. I felt almost a bit honored that she was taking energy from me, as odd as it was. At last, sleep consumed me. Despite what was happening around me, the world of sleep was peaceful and calm. For the moment, I could truly be at rest. Until we have a nightmare, because that always seems to happen. At least for a moment. Yep, here we go.
My sweet Saero.
Okay. So it's Saero being the total creep now, and he's gonna be the thing that haunts us. Huh? What the fuck? I looked around the darkness of my dream, trying to pin down the direction of Saero's voice. Why was he in my dream? There was no reason why he should have been here, but he is. The sound of footsteps echoed in my head, causing me to grip over it and look around frantically. What was happening? He's not this petty, is he? At last, a line in the darkness opened up to reveal it as an open door. Opening, it was Saero with a kind smile on his face, staring into the dark space. What? I looked to him, but he didn't seem to notice me as he stepped into the room and walked past me. I followed his walk and gasped at what he was walking towards. What? Oh my god, he's a yandere. I would figure he'd be the type. He seems really obsessive over Diana, despite, how, true his love is proclaimed to her. Oh my gosh. Now illuminated by light, I took in the sight of Diana in a jail cell on her hands and knees, weak and frail as she stared at the one approaching her.
Saero, what is happening? Why am I...
What on earth?
Shh. Everything is just fine, my lady.
Oh my god, he's totally being creepy. My heart stopped as I watched Saero kneel in front of Diana and slid his hand between the bars to lift her chin. Diana seemed to nuzzle his hand softly and unconsciously making him chuckle.
Soon enough, I will destroy the Demon Lord and hand you the throne of the entire world. Everyone will bow to you as their queen and ruler, as they rightfully should.
Saero, I don't understand.
He's just being really creepy.
You may not understand now, but you will in time. I promise.
Diana crawled closer to Saero, wrapping her hands around the bars to keep her up.
Where is she? What happened to the human?
Yeah, what happened to me? For a moment, Saero stared at Diana, looking completely oblivious as to what she meant. Hey, I'm right here. I'm probably dead. I'm probably dead. Despite knowing that what I was seeing was a dream, I instinctively called out to Diana, hoping she would see me regardless. To my displeasure, she didn't. Yeah.
Who are you talking about, my queen?
I'm totally dead. My body's probably in, like, the fucking river somewhere. I don't even know.
You know who, Saero. She...
Saero silenced Diana by gripping her chin hard, making her gasp and stare up in shock at him.
My lady, I don't know who you are talking about.
He knows exactly who she's talking about, okay? Like I said, my body's probably in, like, the fucking ditch somewhere. Diana whimpered in his hold in fright, fear painted over Diana's expression as Saero pressed his forehead against the bars to stare deep into her eyes. I felt myself rush at Saero and tried to grab him, but my hands merely phased through his body like I was a ghost, because you are a ghost. You're dead.
My lady, you must stay here for now.
We so dead. we told dead.
Why?
Because. Diana's single word died out as she stared into Saero's eyes. Something in her eyes began to shift from red to gold. However, her black pupils slowly morphed into glowing black crosses. What was Saero doing? Oh yeah, he's like half angel. Yeah, and he's doing some next voodoo shit on her.
Because I have not yet finished the Demon Lord, my love.
Wow. Dang. Dang, Saero, damn. I didn't know you had the side to you, but maybe I shouldn't be surprised. When push comes to shove. We all got a crazy in us. My love, why the sudden change in name? I could only watch as Saero leaned back with a grin. Oh my god.
Once I've finished this war, then you may come out and fulfill your destiny. With only me at your side.
Damn, Saero. God. Okay. Staring at Diana, I watched as she began to shed tears, but they were not clear as water, but black as oil. On her chest, a black burn in the shape of a cross appeared, glowing with some sort of dark aura. Wow.
May those useless memories burn away. Remember only the one who has served you his entire life.
Damn, he is so fucking salty. He's salty ass motherfucker. Saero. God damn it, Saero. Of all the flavors you choose to be salty. My words were futile, but I couldn't stand there in silence. However, as Diana's tears finally stopped, the stains on her cheeks drying along her skin, Saero stared into Diana's eyes, burning his gaze into them.
Now, do you remember the human?
She's gonna be like, no.
Who?
Oh, yeah, there you go. No, it couldn't be. Oh, but it is. Horrible nightmare. The burn on her chest flashed a bright white aura before settling down, revealing the permanence it had over her skin. It was a real scar on her flesh, no longer a figment of magic. Saero smiled lovingly at Diana before guiding her hand forward and leaning in to kiss her between the bars. Diana closed her eyes and practically moaned against his lips, most likely feeling some sort of energy from it. However, Saero pulled away gently and made Diana pant slightly in need. Was she that desperate for energy now?
Never mind, my love. Forget I said anything.
Saero ran his fingers over Diana's cheeks, causing Diana to shudder at the touch and let out a pleasured sigh.
Now rest. Nothing will harm you in here.
Oh my god, he's being a total creep. Alright, Diana nodded before slowly laying to the side and letting her body slowly shift to slumber. With another chuckle, Saero stood and turned around. He's gonna look right at us, and he's gonna be like, fuck you. And I'm gonna be like, fuck you too.
That human's life for a stone destiny.
Whoa.
A perfect trait, if I do say so myself.
Oh, I see how it is. Alright, okay. Alright, so I probably am dead. Alright, I snarled and rushed at him, but wound up running through his body and falling to the floor. Saero walked back and towards the open door and stood by it to look back at Diana with an almost evil-looking smile.
Nothing will keep us apart anymore. Isaiah.
Yep, total yandere. Yep, okay. Alright. I jumped up and ran at him, but as he stepped through and closed the door, I found myself shooting up out of bed to sit up, panting. Ugh, what an awful nightmare.
What? What's wrong?
I had a horrible dream that Saero just totally just went yandere, locked you in a cell, and then just killed me for like a fucking stone. I looked over to see Diana sitting in the same spot as she was when I fell asleep and staring at me with wide, concerned eyes. There was no mark on her chest and no crosses in her eyes, which made me feel somewhat relieved. I looked around trying to see if Saero was in the room, but he was nowhere to be found.
Are you alright?
Tell her, let it go. I'ma tell her all about it, girl. Girl, listen. I had to tell her about the dream. I turned to her and took her hands, making Diana gasp and stare at me in even more confused shock. I had a dream last night. Saero locked you in some sort of jail cell and wiped your memories of me, and I couldn't do anything, and...
Wait, stop. What?
Yeah. Okay, let's take this one step at a time. Okay, so first of all, Saero's gonna go turn yandere on your ass. Second of all, he gonna lock your ass in a jail cell. And third of all, he gonna kill my ass, dump my body in a ditch somewhere, and then just trade it for a stone. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Dana took one of her hands from mine and placed it on my head. Did she seriously not believe me? I glared as she stared at her hand. Yeah. It's true, yeah.
I believe you, but I want to see it for myself.
Okay, sure. Why not? We can both view it together. I stared at her, not realizing that she was taking energy from me from my forehead. Diana closed her eyes and remained silent for a moment. How would she react? Yeah, it's gonna be so awkward. As she pulled her hand away, she smiled at me.
It was a nightmare, dear. I'm sorry you had it. But I can assure you, no magic like what you saw exists, nor would Saero ever do that to me.
Are you sure? Are you sure? You never know. I stared. I could see the genuine feeling behind her words, but something in my gut wouldn't let this go. How could she be so sure that magic like that didn't exist? What if Saero was a terrible person? I mean, you know, whatever. But what if...
Saero has been with me ever since I was a child. I would know if he was a bad person. There's nothing to...
Are you sure? No. Suddenly the door to the room burst open, causing Diana and I to separate and stared at the intruder. It was a soldier who seemed to be a runner for the army, judging from his outfit. Hey!
Princess, the Demon Lord approaches!
Already? Oh god, I haven't even gotten up, brushed my teeth, and washed up yet. Damn it. Damn it. I guess I'm just gonna have to kill him with my morning breath. Diana was right, the Demon Lord was going to show up today. I looked to the far window to see the sun barely up over the oddly colored purple sky. It was morning, as Diana expected. Diana quickly threw her legs over the side of the bed and stood, pointing to the guard.
Tell every able-bodied soldier to head for the gates. I will be there shortly.
Okay, let's go. Let's roll.
Yes, Your Highness!
The soldier choked. The soldier ran out, followed by a handful of soldiers that either accompanied him or were heading in the same direction. Okay. I looked at Diana, surprised to see her ready. How much energy did she take during the night? As I got a good look at her, something about her seemed to have changed, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Why? What?
I have to thank you, you know.
Why? Huh? What? For what? Yeah, why? Diana turned to look at me with a smile. As she did, I could see a faint layer of purple energy surrounding her form and her eyes glowing completely gold. Was my energy that good? That top quality? Damn.
You gave me a large amount of energy last night.
Well, glad to help. Okay, bye. Have fun. Her voice echoed through the room, making me internally shudder. She sounded almost ethereal, and the power behind her voice almost drowned my senses. It was as if she was no longer a simple mortal, but a goddess. A goddess! How much energy did she consume last night? I have no idea, but whatever. More power to you, okay? As the energy and glow in her eyes faded away, Diana smiled. Diana gently took my hand and rushed with me out of the room, guiding me out of the castle. Around us, servants and soldiers rushed in one direction or another.
I need you there beside me when I face him. You won't be hurt, I promise.
But I will be your energy supply. I got it. Got it! I followed step by step, nodding in reply. I felt a bit honored that she wanted me with her, but I shook off the excitement, knowing what I was walking towards. The Demon Lord was approaching, and we would be face to face with it. Okay. Diana led me through the castle grounds and onto the battlements, overseeing the distance beyond the castle. I'm getting my words mixed up. God damn it. Diana led me through the castle grounds and onto the battlements, overseeing the distance beyond the kingdom, where a large line of creatures lined up and outlined the horizon. I felt my heart stop as the tallest figure stood between them and us. Taller than any man I had ever witnessed was a man I was meeting for the first time, the Demon Lord. The mere sight of him sent fear down my spine, but this was the man who hurt Diana, so he was my enemy. Okay.
City of Lilith, rejoice! You will fall before the sun reaches its peak!
Okay, whatever you say. Diana released my hand and stepped between the embrasures of the wall and walked through the air towards the ground like she was descending an invisible staircase. As she did, I jumped at the sound of the soldiers on the ground pointing their weapons towards the incoming army. Oh my gosh. Okay, you gonna be okay, girl? Okay. Yeah. Diana's voice bellowed through the air, causing the line of creatures to step back in fear. As her feet touched the ground, the air seemed to pulse with energy. However, the Demon Lord stepped forward with a dark grin.
Succubus! You have returned. You have failed to bring my sons home, it seems.
Yeah, well, not like it matters now. Okay. The Demon Lord laughed at whatever Diana had shouted, making me worried for Diana. Would she be okay on her own? She stepped forward a couple of feet before pointing her palms towards the ground. Okay, ooh, pretty. Before my eyes on Diana's back, the marks adorning her skin began to dance and weave before detaching themselves from her body and forming two large demonic wings. They flapped against the air in unison, causing a large gust of wind to push forward.
Soldiers of Lilith, come to my side if you wish to shed my enemy's blood!
Yay, yeah, you go, girl! As Diana spoke, the soldiers who had gathered at the front rushed forward and stood in two lines at Diana's side, pointing their weapons at the Demon Lord and his army. In number, Diana and her soldiers were outmatched 10 or 20-fold. Whatever. However, something told me that the battle would be in Diana's favor. At my side, a large line of archers positioned themselves and aimed at the army, ready to fire on command. I want me an archer, a bow and arrow thing too, or a crossbow. Give me one. I want to do something.
Steady, man!
Okay, fine. I'll just watch. I looked to the side to see Saero walking down the line with his hand raised, waiting for a signal. However, the sight of him made me remember how he was in my nightmare. Could he be as evil as he was then? I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Patro Verdis! Asti trovevo mimica!
Okay. From Diana, a large, thick tendril with a gigantic mouth began to quickly sprout and spill out from a magic circle floating above her chest, sliding around her body and down towards the ground. As I stared, I could recognize the shape of the mouth from when Diana first met me, when she dangled me over it before letting me make a deal with her. Right? Oh, okay. Soon the tendril released itself from Diana's body and took physical form with purple and black scales. A head formed where its teeth was convulsing with new moment as a wicked purple tongue lashed from its newly formed mouth. That's nifty. A giant 100-foot snake now stood between the Demon Lord's army and Diana's army. It hissed at the creatures in the front line and quickly began to slither forward in hunger. Oh my, she got a basilisk. That's so cool. Alright. Right from the Chamber of Secrets. I didn't get a chance to watch it attack. I turned back to Diana to see her lift up off the ground and form a purple saber in her hand, lifting it above her head. Okay.
For the pride of Lilith! To battle!
Yay, go for Narnia! At her last words, Diana flew forward and slashed through the air, causing a large purple arc to shoot out from her saber and strike down a section of the Demon Lord's front line. I watched as both armies charged forward towards each other and began to clash swords. Beside me, a rain of arrows flew from the battlements down towards the incoming section of the Demon Lord's army, causing me to duck in case they returned fire. Right. To my surprise and glee, the Demon Lord's army couldn't push Diana or her army back. They held their positions and cut down every enemy that came at them. The Demon Lord, watching instead of fighting, glared as Diana flew through the air, cutting down sections of the army with ease. The snake that Diana had summoned was dealing major damage to the enemy as well, carving through the lines and devouring handfuls of them at a time. Each time it did, it either got bigger or became much more menacing. Oh, it's like, what's it called? It's like Io. You just eat bubbles and stuff. I could barely take it all in. The battle was merciless, seemingly endless. Diana's army was small but had strong morale, cutting through the Demon Lord's men with ease. The archers beside me continued raining arrows down on the incoming soldiers, hoping to nickel and dime their numbers from the ground troops. Okay. For the ground troops. Okay. Yeah, I'll just watch. I was glad that Diana wanted me there, but I knew that I wasn't ready to fight in a war, so I kept crouched to watch the battle safely. Eventually, Diana's army began to push back, forcing the enemy soldiers to either retreat or try to regain ground. Diana, however, decided it was time to deal with the real threat and swooped towards the Demon Lord. Go, Diana! You go, girl! Get him! Both demons arched their weapons at each other, Diana with her saber and the Demon Lord with a giant sword and clashed steel. As they did, purple and flame and red lightning spasmed from the impact and pressed against each other in a battle of strength. The Demon Lord looked so much bigger than Diana, but somehow Diana matched his strength and did not budge in the party. Yeah.
How? You cannot be this strong!
Hey, she has me to thank for. Hey, yep. I'm here for moral support, but also for, energy.
You know nothing of true strength!
Yeah. So fuck off. Some of the battling around the duel stopped just from the sheer sight of Diana matching the Demon Lord's power.
I am the Princess of Lilith. I will defy your will and save this world from your tyranny once and for all!
Yeah, what she said. A collective gasp echoed through the air as Diana somehow managed to push back against the Demon Lord, forcing him to step back in the parry. Diana was doing it. She was defeating him. Yeah, yo. Oh my god, is this story gonna end just really fast or something? Nah, it can't be. The Demon Lord slid his sword from the parry and swung again at Diana, making her block, but failed to push her back. He repeated his attack three times, but continued to be pushed back each time. The soldiers around them took in the morale inspiration and fought back tenfold, forcing the Demon Lord's army back over the arching horizon. Diana and the Demon Lord, however, continued to clash swords, beating steel to steel. As the Demon Lord finally jumped back, he formed a large ball of red lightning in his hand, shooting it towards Diana like a flash of thunder. Oh no! This isn't fair. Okay, we're gonna bring magic into this fight now. The attack impacted, sending Diana flying back, but with her wings, Diana managed to flip back to face the Demon Lord with ease. In retaliation, Diana formed a spiraling set of purple fireballs above her and above her hand and chucked them at the Demon Lord. Yeah. With a glare, the Demon Lord slashed through each ball, forcing them to dissolve into the air.
Saero!
What do you gotta shout for? Diana glared hard in reply before flying at her opponent, slashing through the air with her saber. From there, it became a battle of blades and close-range magic attacks. Neither side would give in, and no soldier dared to step in, afraid of being the victim of one of their attacks. Right. This is between level 48 tier players right now. You can't just jump in. The duel became blurred by the sheer speed passing between them, frantic and powered at once. It was slightly dizzying. Finally, the two slid away from each other. Diana was intact, breathing heavily from exerting so much energy, and the Demon Lord was weaponless. Adjusting my eyes, I could see that he was no longer carrying a weapon and was gripping his arm tightly to stop some wound from bleeding out.
How could this happen? How?
Nah, you can shout and whine and just bitch about it all you want, but it's not gonna change your position. I didn't respond. Diana didn't respond. I didn't respond. Diana didn't respond. She flew forward to engage him again, but stopped as the Demon Lord's body became overcome by red lightning. As if the lightning had ended him, the Demon Lord's body vanished. He bitched out.
I will return, and your kingdom will fall.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever you say. His voice echoed through the air, haunting everyone and making the trees around us bend and sway at its might. However, as the voice died out, the army the Demon Lord left behind vanished as well. It took a moment to take it in. We had won the battle. We fought and drove the Demon Lord and his army out of the kingdom. We did it. Won the battle, but didn't win the war just yet. But okay, whatever. We can celebrate. Quickly, the soldiers of Diana's army cheered huzzas for their victory. Diana's snake vanished at last, and Diana herself slowly began to fly back towards me. I was grinning ear to ear as she slid between the embrasures to me. Oh, you okay? I got you. However, I did not expect Diana's eyes to roll to the back of her head and for her to collapse against me. I wrapped my arms around Diana as she indeed fainted in my arms. Oh man. Diana, I guess you need sleep.
Isaiah!
Oh god. Hey, Saero, help me with this. Please, can we just be like on mutual agreements right now? Okay? As I collapsed on my knees with Diana in my arms, Saero rushed over and dropped to his knees beside us, taking one of Diana's hands. Diana, however, didn't react, even as energy began to flow from Saero's to Diana's hand. Kiss her, hug her close. I'ma smooch you in front of Saero. Yeah, that's a good idea. She needed energy to recover, and I had to help. I gently took her head in my hands and kissed her, letting her unconsciously take my energy. I could feel warmth slowly coming back to Diana's skin as we kissed, making me slightly smile. Diana's free hand gently slid up between our bodies and cupped itself over the side of my neck. As if Diana was awake now, she was enjoying the kiss we were sharing and wasn't going to let go just yet. I could feel my nerves dance as energy slipped from me into Diana's lips. Before long, Diana disconnected that flow, pulling away slightly to look up at me. Hey. Diana slowly lifted herself up onto her feet. Instinctively, Saero and I both grabbed onto Diana's arms, helping her up. She looked to both of us with a kind smile.
Thank you.
No problem. I got you. Anytime. I couldn't tell which of us she was thanking, but I accepted it with a smile of my own. You did it, Diana. You drove him back. You are so awesome. You so cool. Diana chuckled a bit before standing up straight. Her wings that had been folded against her back splayed out behind her near us, causing Saero and I to step back. As Diana began to speak, her voice booming through the air, the cheers around us became silent.
Friends! We have won this battle, but they will not be gone for long. This is the beginning of a war to end tyranny, to end chaos!
Yep. I could tell that every demon in the area had their ears and hearts open to Diana. I felt myself become full of courage just from listening to her speak.
You have shown great courage today, but you must build even more for the war ahead. The Demon Lord will try to cut you down, but we will prevail!
Yeah, because we got Homegirl on our side.
As I am the last living heir to this grand kingdom, I swear unto you all that I will fight until the very end and free this world of the evil that is the Demon Lord. With this, I urge you to stand with me and fight by my side, not as my subjects, but as my brothers and sisters.
Yay!
I ask now, who will stand with me?
Yeah, who fam? Who's fam? The sound that came after was loud and eardrum piercing. The sound of 1,000 cheers beat through the air and showed the and show the allegiance of every demon in the area and then some. Yep. I could only stare in awe as Diana took in everyone's cheers and took in a heavy breath. It was then that I knew that I had become part of something grand at the side of a woman who would change history. Yeah, the following days were full of chaos. The demon lord tried to come back and reclaim his pride, but Diana somehow managed to press back with ease, giving him more wounds than inflicted before. Yeah! It was like the castle became an impregnable it just became really hard to enter fortress. Soon, word spread around the neighboring kingdoms of the Demon Lord's defeat and continued failed attempts to attack. Many leaders sent message of allegiance, which Diana humbly accepted, and soon enough we drove the Demon Lord's army far back away from us. After every battle, she would wind up in my arms, much to the slightly obvious disapproval of Saero. Whenever a demon questioned my presence, Diana would simply wave them off with a small token of praise towards me.
She is my most honored guest, and she is here to help us win this war.
Yes, I am. Oh, hell yeah. Still, the thought of what we officially were began to make me concerned. Did Diana see me more than an energy source and Did Diana see me more than an energy source and ally? We had kissed before we returned, but since then I couldn't have been more unsure, right? Like, what are we? I began to question myself. Why was I here? I could only shake my head in response. I shouldn't doubt anything. We were in the midst of a war, and with Diana at the front, she had many responsibilities, many that I could never even hope to think on. The pinnacle moment of our relationship, however, came when a brute demon stormed into the castle all on his own. He was unarmed and carrying a single item which made many demons step away from him in fright. Whoa, is it Sergeant? Hey, yo! Hey! Dinah, Saero, and I were in the war room with 3 other beings whom I had named Faye, Rabbit, and Shadow for simplicity. When the doors to the room swung open, everyone was forced to turn their heads from the map we were previously poring over. Whoa! Whoa. Whoa indeed.
What is...
Huh? Oh, wow. All protest became silent as the being who entered chucked the object in his hand onto the table. As it settled to a stop in the middle of the map, all the demons in the room stared in absolute shock. Why? What is it? It's not a dead body, is it? Oh. Oh, it's your horn! Oh my god, what the hell is it doing? How the hell did that happen? What the hell? Lying on the table was a red, broken horn. There was no blood or bone in it, but it was indeed the horn of the being who had stormed in. I became confused, wondering why this being decided to throw his horn at us. Yeah, why? What gives? As I looked at Diana, however, I could see the shock in her eyes. The expression on her face was a mixture of fear, surprise, and a little flattery, like someone had given her an exotic bouquet of bloody thorn-filled roses. Diana finally looked up at the demon who had entered the room and examined him.
Brute demon. What is the meaning of this?
Yeah, what gives?
What does it look like?
It looks like you tore your horn off and then just kind of tossed it at us, is what.
It looks like you're swearing your allegiance to the rebellion. The question is why?
Oh, is that how you do it? Oh, okay. He swore allegiance with his horn? Huh, okay.
It's a brute demon tradition. If they leave their tribe to serve a non-nomadic kingdom without marrying into it, then they must break a horn in allegiance.
Oh, wow. Oh, I see. The more you know.
However, from what I recall, there are no more tribes left in the demon world after the demon lord's mass genocide of the brute demons.
Oh, damn. Well, that sucks. Jeez. I stared wide-eyed at Shadow. Mass genocide? The demon lord had that much power to eliminate an entire demon race? Yeah, yo. I looked to the brute demon, seeing him glare hard at Shadow at his remark.
Well, he didn't kill everyone.
Yeah, clearly.
So there are more of you?
I guess so. A flash of grief flashed in the brute's eyes before he looked down at the table.
No. I'm the only one left, and I refuse to let that bastard get away with this.
Oh man, that sucks. You're the last of your shit. I felt incredibly terrible for the grief he had to bear. It must have been horrible to be the last of his kind. I looked at Diana, wondering what she would do with this information. The look on Diana's face was enigmatic. She was obviously in deep thought, but how was she going to handle the situation before her? Finally, she took in a breath and let out a sigh before speaking.
Sir Brute, You come swearing your allegiance to the rebellion. Is there anything you demand of us for your service?
True, yeah, what you want. Unless you want to see the Demon Lord dead, then yeah, all for it. It was a question she asked every alliance leader. They often asked for the promise of freedom or an oath of protection from harm. The demons who were with us in the room simply joined out of their own interest. What about this demon? Yeah, right? The brute demon rolled his shoulders back and stared hard at Diana, making her straighten up a bit.
I ask for you to perform ascending.
Okay, what kind?
Ascending?
Ascending?
For the souls of your people?
Yeah, okay, we can do that. The brute nodded before stepping up and placing his large hand on the table, staring at the back of it in torn shame. Aww.
My people did not deserve death, but their ashes now lie in the earth. There is no one who can give them a proper sending, so I ask that you, Succubus, do this for me in return for my service.
Okay, I think, yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah. I looked to Faye, hoping they would explain, but Dana turned to me and spoke instead.
Dear, ascending is a ritual brute demons perform to honor their deceased. It is a ritual of both celebration and grief, so it must be done with a full heart.
Okay, yeah, I think we got this before. I swear to God. Uh-huh, oh, thanks. Oh, why do you mean thanks? Diana smiled at me and nodded before turning back to the brute. I was happy that she was still willing to teach me despite her position. The brute, however, finally took notice of me and glared. Hey now. Oh, thanks for the information. Okay, I was like, what's she thanking me for? What's she thanking her for?
A human? What is it doing here?
Hey now, I'm not an it, okay? I'm clearly a she, and I have a name, and my name is Hannah, so use it. Excuse me, it? I became suddenly irritated and stepped forward to confront the demon, but Diana placed a hand on my shoulder and cleared her throat.
She is a vital part of this war, Sir Brute. Please do not disrespect her.
Yeah. I looked to Diana, seeing her press her lips together in a fine line and stare into the brute's soul. A part of me felt extremely flattered at her protection, however, I could practically feel Saero's jealous aura from the other side of Diana. Hey now. The brute took a hard stare at me before eventually nodding and crossing his arms.
So, will you do it?
Yeah, why not? I mean, even though you called me an it, I'm still all for it. Diana took a moment to herself, staring at the wooden table in thought. I began to ponder as well about it. He seemed to be a worthy ally, but Diana seemed torn. Was it appropriate for a demon who wasn't a brute to do it? Not like we had a choice here, because he's clearly the last one of his kind. Like, I don't know, maybe I totally missed the information on how it is that he's not up to the task, but whatever. You should do it. I placed my hand on Diana's shoulder and nodded as she looked up at me in curiosity. If the brute wanted her to do it, then she should to gain a potentially powerful ally, right? I smiled and nodded to her as she slowly relaxed under my gaze. After a moment, Diana turned to the brute demon and nodded. Well, it's like, yeah, of course, this is how she, like, eventually she'll gain Sergeant as an ally, because when we dropped in, he was already there, so it's like, yeah, it's like canon.
Very well. I will perform the sending of your fallen kin.
Okay.
When?
Wait. Right, now?
This afternoon.
Okay, yeah. Everyone hitched their breath in surprise at Diana's words. She would perform the same day? Did she even know how to perform it properly? Diana? With a chuckle, Diana looked to me with a small smirk.
I'll be fine, dear. I know a fair amount of brute demon rituals.
Okay, if you got it, then okay, whatever. Alrighty. That afternoon became full of hustle. Servants were rushing back and forth, trying to prepare for the ritual they knew little to nothing about. Luckily, Shadow and Rabbit helped instruct everyone properly. I was taken to my room, given an opportunity to rest, but as I sat on the bed, I felt restless. I didn't want to sit around and do nothing for the day. There was much I could do despite being a human. I wasn't some decoration. Right. I defied my instructions and wandered, hoping to find Diana. I wanted to help her if possible, but as I approached the room she was practicing in, I managed to catch a pair of voices.
My lady, I must insist.
Insist on what? What's happening?
Insist that I lock her in her room like a prisoner? Out of the question.
What? Yeah, you can't do that to me. I quietly pressed myself against the wall near the doorway and continued to listen in, now wondering what was going on.
She is not a pet or a slave, Saero. She is my guest and greatest ally.
Yeah, yo, you can't treat me with no disrespect, Saero. God.
I understand this, but she's also a human. Every time someone new comes to forge an alliance with the rebellion, the human's presence is questioned.
And they should mind their own goddamn business, God.
If they are turned away by a mere human, then they are worthless allies.
Right? God, Jesus. Like, what? Seriously, what? How am I a fucking threat?
My lady, you are not understanding my point.
Ugh. God, Saero, you're just being unreasonable.
Then what is the point, Saero?
Right? A small silence followed. I was in awe that Dana was defending me so hard. As for Saero, I began to hear the jealous beast he was hiding. What was he going to do? Yeah, right?
My point is that people are questioning what she is to you.
Oh, right. What are you? Yeah. What do you mean? What do we mean to you, you know? The question pained me to realize, but I was curious as well. What was I to her? She vouched for me as an ally, but did she like me as I liked her? I came with her to fix this world, but I truly came for her. After a painfully long silence, Diana spoke again. And we're gonna leave this episode right here, you guys. Let's just see in the next episode what she really thinks about us. I'm pretty sure she's gonna answer something really vague, or, you know, I don't know, something alluding to the fact, because, I don't know, maybe this is like another key point in terms of moving the story. So yeah. Anyways, we'll find out in the next episode. I feel like we've gone on for a long time. Even I'm getting, because you know, despite everything, like I really was getting into the story, and like I need to stop before it gets out of control. So, anyways, that is all for now. Until the next episode, there's gonna be more Diana route. So yeah, until then, you guys hang tight, and bye.